Alright, hello everybody, this is Blazing Started. Welcome to the channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic old day. And welcome to Mario Kart Wii Custom Track Grand Prix. Now, what we're here to do today, it's a little bit of a new series planned that I'm going to be messing around with and hopefully continuing till the end point. And this series is going to be me rating all of the custom tracks and their respective cups. So, to explain how all this is going to work, I have an Excel spreadsheet in the background that you guys cannot see, and you don't really need to see. But the track's going to be rated out of 10 on 3 different categories, and it's going to have an average of those 3 categories put together based on the theming. The theming can be judged on many a thing. If the track has a sort of theme, or it's based upon a certain game, then I shall judge it on that. If the track has no idea what it wants to be, or has no sense of identity, then it will be rated a little bit less on the scale. This theming will also turn into a rating on how well some of the retro tracks are created compared to the original, as well as some of the remastered shortcuts or paths or textures even. The next category is the functionality, which will also be judged out of 10. The functionality is based upon many different factors, such as a track's ability to give you an indication on whether a corner is coming, whether the next part of the track is coming, whether or not the track would be functional for multiple vehicles, if not all vehicles in the game, both bikes and karts alike. And will just be based upon how well it functions, sometimes based upon the frame rate and the consistency in which the track performs in the race. And the replayability is the last category, in which is considered above how much would I be willing to play this track again. Would it be a track I would be happy to play or would scoff at, and how much would I complain if I were to play this multiple times online in WeamFi, for example. So those are the things to keep in mind with all of the tracks today, from multiple different sides of the spectrum, especially to do with stuff like retros and custom tracks in which are created by different people, in which will vary in many different characters. Okay, so without any further ado, hopefully that explanation was good enough for you guys to understand. We're going to get into today's combination. To explain the combinations that are going to be happening every single video, I have a randomizer in which I'll probably display a little screenshot on the screen at this point of the video, and this will basically give 4 players a random character and a random vehicle in Mario Kart Wii. Now I'm going to be using the player one combination. However, the only limitation to this is if it gives me a combination that I cannot use, such as a me with a different weights category than medium. If it's a small or a big me, then I can't use it. So I will use the next one down. And I'm going to randomize it before every single video and put a screenshot at every single video before I start, or before I explain what I'm actually picking, and we'll give you guys what I'm going to be using for the video. So now that that's out of the way, we're playing all of these tracks in the series on 150cc in Grand Prix mode, so everything should run absolutely fine. Shouldn't run into any issues, no gripes or anything. So, without any further ado, let's get into today's combination. Today's combination comes in the form of a me character. We're using the me outfit B, and thankfully we can actually use this combination today, because this combination plays into the weight stat, which is a medium weight stat. So it's the me outfit B, and today's vehicle is the Royal Racer. So, with all of that out of the way, today's cup is the Blooper Cup, which consists of Abandoned Boardwalk, Abyssal Ruins, Alpine Peak, and Aquadrome Stage. All of these will be rated after the fact before we move on to the next track, and it will continue to be like that throughout the entirety of the video. I will put each category and their rating in like an editing thing that I'll do later on. So, without any further ado, let's start the tracks with Abandoned Boardwalk. Of course, I'll be commenting on things that I find about the stage, such as any issues that I run into, any gripes that I have with it, any design things, and so forth. You guys will be made aware that I will give you everything that I can about the stage. But anyways, let's get into it, shall we? Of course, we're racing 150cc, so we've got the hardest difficulty of AI. Also, I am really sorry if the audio goes whack. Also, I need to fix that real quick because the classic Pro controller has gone wild and would not stop me from turning right. So, that's an issue on my behalf. I'm not going to put it against the track. Also, everything should be running a little bit different. It might run a bit worse because now, instead of just having the Custom Track Grand Prix on my Wii, I also have Homebrew and its related channels. Anyways, that was not a bad turn at all, actually. Of course, having the weight stat difference can sometimes affect how I take a turn. That is very tight, but that was also me commenting and not really focusing, so I'm not going to hold that against it or anything. So it seems like a very sort of Banshee Broadwalk type of theme track, which is nice. I like it. Are we going into the water? Yes, we are. Okay. Okay, this underwater part is really cool too. But it seems like it's also a very slow track, which is an interesting choice. Everyone going at the same speed, I can't really have a complaint about that. I'm wondering if those webs are a trick ramp or they're just for detail's sake. Especially those ones in the corners that look like they would be trick ramps. I should have tried it just then. I didn't quite hit it that time. They're very weird on the corners. But that's just, okay. That's just for theming's sake. Got it. That's what I initially thought. Maybe that could have been an interesting design choice to make them ramps, but at the same time, because of the track being the way it is and being relatively thin roads, but not too thin, it probably would cause an issue to trick off of those. Okay. Got all the bloopers right now, which is actually kind of ironic because it is the Blooper Cup and all. I really like this underwater part with all like the sort of dead-looking fish. The sort of fish skeletons. Are the boos also retextured? Because they seem to have something in their hands, like little lanterns by the looks of it. Yeah, they have little candles in their hands. That's really cool. Also, the custom item boxes are a cool feature. Custom item box textures. See, at first I worried about this little, like, circular part, because sometimes they can be designed to be way too tight for kart users, but I actually do like it, so. This little bend is where I'm like, it's okay, it's in the middle. I've seen more horrendous versions of it. Okay. Should I come back underwater? Okay. Oh, damn it. All the blue shells and red shells. That's what I get for front running in this game. But it's against AI, so... Well. And that completes the first track. Now. I don't really have many issues with that track. So... Let's start and think about how I'm gonna rate this. Starting with theming. Now I feel that track had a clear, very, very clear theme. We'll move on to the next race and we'll pause. Then I'll give you guys a little indication on what I thought of the previous tracks. Also, I gotta do it after the track actually. Kind of learned that. Okay, so as for the track that we just completed, which was... 1 second. Which was Abandoned Boardwalk. I mean, starting off with theming. So, to comment on the theming of the track... It definitely had a clear theme of, like, a Banshee Broadwalk sort of graveyard sort of theme. Everything was, like, spooky and dead. So it was actually a well-defined theme. The item boxes, while nice, they fit the theme okay. They could have fit it a bit better, but I don't know what you could have done much with the item boxes. And custom textures was a nice feature. As for the lighting, the level was the track was relatively dark, but it needs to be. It's that type of theme, so I can understand that that's not being held against it. I don't think there was many theming issues as far as it comes to Abandoned Boardwalk, so the rating I'm going to give it for theming is a solid 8 out of 10. Functionality. Now we'll move on to functionality. Functionality is think about the track's functionality and how well it works at certain points. I really didn't see much of an issue. Of course, I had a few confusions with the webs, thinking there were ramps that you could trick off of, but it's also a design thing, so that is also fine as well. If I went through them, I went through them. It didn't cause me to crash. It didn't cause any issues. The main small nitpicky part of the track would be to do with the split paths. Now, it's okay. It gives you the sign, but the sign is not that clear in the darker colours, well, darker theming. But that still wasn't the worst thing. The track could be played on any vehicle, as I showed by using a kart. Using a kart's an idea of like, okay, this track would be possible on pretty much anything. Outside drifting bikes work mostly the same as karts anyways. So, for functionality, I'm going to be fair with it and give it a 7. As for replayability, I mean, I didn't really have an issue with the track. I wouldn't have an issue against playing it again. It wouldn't be spectacular. I wouldn't get excited over it. But at the same time, I wouldn't hate it. So, I wouldn't hate playing it with any vehicle, because any vehicle would pretty much do it, as I just mentioned. That is also fine. If this popped up, I wouldn't be upset. I really wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't get excited, but I wouldn't be upset. So, this is the lowest score I'm probably going to give. The replayability value, I'm going to give it a fair, above average 6. Which, of course, the averages I'll figure out and calculate and place it somewhere in the stream right here. So, now, we're on to Abyssal Ruins, which is completely different. We've just started it, and it seems like another darkish track, but of course, I haven't seen anything about the level yet. So, without any further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Also, I'm not gonna judge anything on music because of the fact that I'm using my own custom music pack. We can just accept that right now. Plus, music doesn't really affect how I feel about a track. Plus, when it's all music I like anyways, I don't really have a problem. Okay, that was interesting. It was, you could clearly see it, coming up, but at the same time it may be tricking towards that would be interesting for a kart. That's okay. But of course, making that a mushroom shortcut is not too bad if that's what it was meant to be. This track is very quick. I'm gathering that right now. There's no speed mods or anything. This track is just relatively short. The underwater parts are a nice feature. I feel like it might have benefited more from being able to see the track above the water, which isn't really realistic, but at the same time it would have been nice, like the last track. I can see where that could cause an issue. As you can see, some of the AI are running into the issue that I thought we'd run into with it. Their functionality is a bit questionable right now. You could tell it's very custom track-esque with how the AI are functioning. But air functionality is not really being considered as heavily. It's how I feel about a track afterwards. That little mushroom pad right there is actually really cool. That little jump pad. That's a weird trick ramp, but I'm not a hater for such ramps. I'm not a hater for low trick ramps. It definitely comes off as ruins, which is okay. That doesn't give you much room to turn with a cart, which is exactly the issue I'm thinking about. I thought that would be trickable, but maybe it's not for a cart. Maybe bikes would be able to trick over that. Whoa, being able to trick off that is not nice. Oh, I just stayed on there. Okay. And with that, that is Abyssal Ruins. Now, for rating Abyssal Ruins, I've got to think about some things for the track. Of course, first we're going to start with the theming. The theming was... you could definitely tell that the Ruins theme was being played into. That's for sure. And I don't think that's much of a problem, as such. I feel like there's not really much background and there's not really much obstacles, which it's okay. Of course, Abyssal makes sense. Abyssal Ruins makes sense. Like, you wouldn't be confused that this track was named Abyssal Ruins from playing it. Now, for the theming, I feel like it's okay. It's not bad, it's not terrible, so I can't give it any less than a 5. But, in this case, I'm going to be fair with it and give it a 6. Functionality. Now, functionality, considering I gave the Abandoned Boardwalk a 7, the functionality was much less in this race. To describe it honestly, I feel like the track does not really play well for kart players. It wasn't a terrible experience, so it's acceptable, especially that fountain. I don't know if bikes may or may not do better on that because of the sharp turning, especially inside drifting bikes. So outside drifting bikes might have an issue too, but the circling around it is a bit of an issue, which means if you get shocked, you have a problem. And sometimes if you don't have a mushroom, you'd have a problem. So, in all honesty, that was my biggest issue. Some of the turns were a little bit tight for karts and outside drifting bikes, but you didn't see me fall off at any point, really, so it's not bad. The functionality, it's not unacceptable. But once again, it can't get any less than a 5. I'm going to give it a 5. Now the replayability. Now I feel like the track, I don't know. It was very quick. I'll give it that. So the problems I have with the replayability value were not overbearing, but at the same time, I feel like the track doesn't have much to keep you enticed. It's a very basic circuit in essence, which, to be fair, it doesn't really need to be much more. At the same time, the issues I had with the functionality being the fountain makes me think, okay, I'd have to watch out for that. And realistically, it's fine to have things to watch out for, it's just a bit iffy. So, the replayability value, I am going to give this track a... I'm going to give it a 6. Because I feel like I wouldn't complain, I just would feel, okay. And now let's move on to the next track, which is Alpine Peak. And by the way, guys, if you are enjoying the first episode, I know it's going to be a little bit rough until I get the things down, but if you're enjoying the video, please feel free to drop a like and a subscription, and of course, feel free to comment what you feel about custom tracks. The question for today is going to be, what is your favourite custom track? Because I want to know. Anyways, Alpine Peak, let's get into it. Okay, I felt like I did that really wrong. It wasn't really my fault. Also, these trees. It's cool, but at the same time, it's an obstacle. But I don't feel like that's a track problem. It's a skill issue, to be fair. Maybe I shouldn't have tricked off of there. Of course, I love the design and the minimap already. I'm looking at it. This is giving me, like, not a Mario Kart vibe, but like a different racing game vibe. Oh, okay. If I didn't feel like I took that corner that bad. Well, took the ramp that bad. But gotta think about it. Gonna give it the benefit of the doubt. We still have 2 more laps anyways for me to think things out. These trees are annoying, but I feel like that's a general thing, and I like that actually. The bullet bill. Damn, that trick really puts you in there. Not in a good way. Puts you next to that pillow, which is... it's okay. But I'm not a big fan. I'm surprised I haven't hit that left barrier on both laps. Okay. Ripple bananas. Okay. Of course that snipe was not going to happen because I was still facing down. There are a lot of bikes that say this is a lot of cars that say it's 150cc. Why am I saying bikes? Damn, those four wheels on that bike be looking pretty hefty nowadays. I took that turn wrong. That was my bad. Let's see if I can get back into first, shall we? Whoa, Luigi, hold on a minute, brother. Oh, please. No, I just missed Dunk Young. Oh well. Not looking too trap right now. I almost sniped him out at first. Fifth place. Okay. Now, not the best finish, but I made a lot of mistakes that I feel shouldn't be considered here. Now, Alpine Peak. For theming, this track, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Definitely hit what it needed to. The snow theme was really nice. The trees were really nice. The little cave still had the sort of snow theme to it. It was also really nice too. There's nothing out of the ordinary about it. It feels like it could be in game, and honestly, it feels like a track that could be in a different racing game, but not Mario Kart Wii, and that's in a good way. I mean that in the absolute best way possible. So, for the theming for this track, I'm inclined to give this an 8. Just like Abandoned Boardwalk. Functionality. Not being able to blitz through this and not run into the trees and mine shaft sort of poles is not something that I consider an issue with the functionality. If it's intended to be an obstacle, and it actually works well as an obstacle. The ramp at the beginning, to go around the sides, is a bit wacky, and in all honesty, it could cause you to lose a race and lose your ability to even compete in that race sometimes, if you take it multiple times or you took it extremely wrong. So that is a bit of an issue. It's actually probably the first issue that is not just nitpicky, it's a kind of a big issue. Not many people really take those type of ramps, so I guess it's not the worst thing. Besides that, most of the roads felt fine. A lot of the time I thought I was going to hit the barriers, but it's designed just to be wide enough where you have enough time to correct yourself and the corrections aren't too bad. So, for the functionality, I'm going to give this... I'm going to give it a 6, I think. Because the major issue is a bit... It is a big thing to point out. and a few small issues here and there makes it a bit but that doesn't take away from how that track felt in the sense of how fun it was, which takes me on to the point of replayability. I wouldn't be upset about playing this track multiple times. I would actually be relatively happy. The track was fun, it was wild, it was hectic, and I feel like in multiplayer races, that track is going to be exceptional. I feel like it would be a popular one. And to be fair, since CTGP's been out for quite a while, and this track's probably been out for quite a while, it probably is. I feel like the track actually does really good. So on the replayability value, I think I'm going to give it an 8. I would happily play it again. It would actually be really exciting. So, that brings us on to the last race, which is Aquadrom stage. Without any further ado, let's finish off the episode with the last race. Let's do this. Okay, let's do this. The camera angles are actually really nice. I do like the features of camera angles in these tracks. They've been really good. Oh god, looking at that new map, I'm scared. So many places I could go here. Hold on a minute. Oh, you can take that right part? Okay. If I would have taken it to the right, I wouldn't be so far behind. I love the water park feel. Ooh, that's not fun. Eee. That's not kart friendly in the slightest. But I feel like screwing it wouldn't. It'd cut you a space or two, but it wouldn't completely hinder you from, you know, getting back into the race, which I think is worth mentioning. Thanks, Wario. I should probably take multiple paths, so I'm going to take the path this way this time. Let's see where this leads. Oh wow. Okay, so the path that I took on the first lap actually takes me around the back, but because it's I think it's initially quite fast compared to the others, which is okay. And that second lap is actually okay. That part is yes. It's iffy, but I feel like a lot of people would run into that issue. I don't know if inside drifting bikes would do that better. Well, they probably would do it better. They probably wouldn't avoid it, though. Okay, let's go. Let's get back into it. The star is not too bad at all for that. I'm following them up these steps. And then I'm going to take the under side path again. But this is where I can... Yep, that made me a lot of space. Should have taken the red one, but the red one probably would have got me into the wall anyways. So taking that drift early is not actually too bad. I feel like I might actually need to do that in future playthroughs of this track. Taking the drift early, at least when you know all that. Baby Mario's having a bit of an issue. I think he's had an issue with multiple of these tracks. Okay. That was Aquadrom stage. Because we won out the Plus we won out the GP. Like, I'd be a bit embarrassed if I didn't win out the GPs. For the most part, it's all fine. Okay. So, to comment on Aquadrom stage. Now, there's a lot to unpack about this track. And a lot that should be unpacked about this track. So, with that, let's get into it. So, Aquadrom stage's theming. I think the theming, perfect. It really does lead into a sort of water park, inside water park sort of theme. And I like that. It felt really nice. The slides were really cool. The multiple paths were really cool. However, that's gonna chip into a little bit of something that I'll explain a little bit later. I don't think I can fault it. The outside part is also really nice. It looked like a little car park, which is also really cool too. Which is what it, which makes sense for a theme park. It's not a theme park, a water park. That's really cool. That track was very cool in its theming. The scenery was really cool. Everything was pretty much up there. So, for the theming, this track is gonna get... Okay, for theming, I think I'm gonna have to drop a 10. I don't think I have an issue with the theming. Functionality. Now, this might be debatable. The multiple paths worked okay. The multiple paths worked okay. Sometimes some of those paths aren't exactly the most friendly to carts, and especially that part towards the middle, where you're taking those two corners where you hit the wall. I don't know if all things would do that, but definitely with carts, that is not a fun little section. Now, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt in this case, but it's still going to be weighted a little bit. The minimap is not to be relied on with that course. It is so incredibly confusing. But the track is still laid out well enough so you can understand where you're going. It's not horribly designed to just be a maze of, oh, where the hell do I go? So at least it's functioning in that sense. But with the functionality, I'm going to give the track a... I'm going to give it a... down the middle 5, I think. Replayability, the track was fun. The track was definitely fun. Despite those few issues could get frustrating after a while, I will admit. So maybe it's not the most replayable. At the same time, though, I'd be excited to play it. I really would be. Maybe I'd pick an inside drifting bike for it, so that might be a consideration, which isn't the most replayable, which means you'd have to play the same bikes over and over again. But at the same time, it's an exciting track with an exciting design, which has you pretty much in a hectic race. There's a lot of straightaways which are very bike centric too, so I think it's a lot more bike designed. But at the same time, I feel like there's a lot to that stage which makes it more exciting. So the replayability, I'm gonna give a nice 7. So, with that being said, everyone, that means that this episode is complete. But I'm gonna list a few things. Here is the updated image of this. Is the image of the cup averages and which cup got the has the best average. Of course, it's only the first episode, so it's gonna be at the top. So you can see them right here. And with that being out of the way, here are also the top 5 tracks and their respective cups with their score rating. So you guys can see which are my top 5 tracks. So we're gonna get the top 5 cups and the top 5 tracks. You guys can see the top 5 tracks right now. But without any further ado, guys, I hope you all have a lovely day. My name has been Blazing Stoddard. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, share, subscribe if you guys like the video, and be sure to leave a comment on today's question of the day, which is, what is your favourite custom track? With that, take care everyone, hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Toodaloo!